From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Open Line.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Open Line. Glad you are with us. It is Tuesday, August 4th, but for many people, it is better known as the first day of school. It was the first official day of school here in Metro Nashville. 86,000 students went back to school online, virtually. So a remarkable undertaking as the school district deals with COVID-19. Metro is one of two districts across the state, Shelby County being the other huge district, that is starting school online, virtually. And Metro is doing that at least through Labor Day. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. What went well, concerns that people have. There were some technical issues, which the school district says you would expect that as you're trying to begin this process with 86,000 students. Students won't be penalized if they weren't able to log on, but we want to talk about it. We're talking about it with a group that advocates for some of the system's lowest performing schools, a group called Propel. And Propel stands for Parents Requiring Our Public Education System to Lead. It was founded in 2018. So happy to have with us once again via Zoom. We have John Little there. John Little, with Outreach and Organizing Director for Nashville Propel. Thank you, John, for being with us.
Thank you, Ben.
And the Executive Director for Propel, that is Sonya Thomas. Ms. Thomas, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
And so give us just the basic information about Propel. I mean, I said what you stand for. How did you come about? Is there money behind you from any sort of organization? Kind of give us your background.
So we are parent-led and we are parent-organized. And so the way that we came about it, we realized that we have a problem. We have an education crisis right here in the city of Nashville. The parents who lead Nashville Propel live in the communities that either have the lowest performing schools they're zoned to or they're extended. And so that's how we came about in 2018. We realized that there's a crisis. We're on a mission. We're organizing parents. We're developing them into powerful parent leaders. And we're igniting a movement. And we're demanding equitable education policies and practices in Nashville public schools.
And so it's that much of a grassroots organization. People may ask, are you supporting charter schools? Is there money behind you from some outside organization like that?
Okay. So no, we're not pro-charter, we're not pro-traditional, we're not pro-private school. We are pro equal and equitable education. All we want is for all children in the city to receive a quality education. And so as far as funding, it's so funny that you asked that because nobody ever asked like teachers unions and people who work for teachers unions who fund them. But we're funded by the same people who fund public education.
Funded by the same people who fund public education. So
Correct.
What did you think about today? Today was the first day. I guess, first of all, your thoughts on virtual learning and then how things went today. And I'll go to each of you for that. I'll start with you, John.
Yeah, I think we heard a couple things. I think today was, the first day out. I think if you looked on MNPS page, parents were antsy. And some of those concerns came out. I think we heard top things like we heard about logging in. And the great thing about Propel, what I love, is we have parents from across the board. We have some parents who have their kids at Meg, some at Warner, some at Purpose Prep, and some in private. And what we noticed just across the board, they were having those same issues. And so primarily, again, it was logging in, getting an email, and then like just school communication about what was happening that day.
Mm-hmm.
And
and to that point,
what did you find, Sonya Thomas? What did you find?
I saw parents who were frantic, who were in tears, even children who were very frustrated. And then I heard some people that heard some people that didn't have an issue. But like John was saying, most of the issues were with logging in into Schoology. There were parents who did not even know how, like what username, what password. A lot of the parents were concerned about their children's schedules because a lot of these parents work, right? So the schedule was very pertinent. It was very important. And so, parents logged in this morning and were locked out. And some received an email letting them know that there was a district-wide issue, which was a big concern for Propel. We actually reached out to the district a few weeks ago and asked them, was the district or was Schoology capable of handling 86,000 children? And we were told that Schoology said yes. But that wasn't the case.
So that wasn't the case on the first day. That was not.
Yeah.
There were some problems, and Dr. Adrian Battle said you would expect some hiccups, and let's hope they can work through that. Do you all think it is a good idea, or do you support doing school virtually? Do you think it is the appropriate thing to do in the midst of the coronavirus?
First of all, parent decision is very important, right? And so the safety of our children is of the utmost importance. And of course, we are, very worried about their academics. And, with Propel, what we've done is we've actually launched a campaign in the midst of COVID-19 that actually addresses the things that parents are staying awake at night about. And some of those things are, we've had an achievement gap here for years. And so parents were really afraid about us not having school from the spring to the summer and entering school, whether it was virtual or in person, and worried about their children having a learning loss. And so our campaign is that all of the children are assessed and that the district have a policy where each child has an individualized learning. The other concern was like, hey, not all children have internet, not all children have computers. I spoke to a family of 8 today where there were 4 children in high school in one household who did not have a computer. They had a computer, but did not have a charger. And then they had 3 middle schoolers who had a laptop from the school and no charger. And then an elementary school student who had a laptop and a charger, but they didn't have internet. So, as far as having a choice, we've also demanded that parents be able to have a choice as to whether, we do in person or we go into school buildings. And I think that's very important that parents be able to make that decision. And if they're doing in person, they should be able to also determine if that in-person learning is of value, if that in-person learning is of quality. And if it's not, they should have the choice to go somewhere else.
Okay.
I agree.
And you agree with that, John? Do you think then they're saying, Metro Schools is saying they're doing this at least through this virtual learning, at least through Labor Day. Are you hopeful that at Labor Day they would switch to giving parents a choice? In other words, some students would be able to come in and learn in the school, or do you have an opinion on that? What about that issue?
I do. So I'll say for me personally, as a father of a kid in the 6th grade, when MNPS gave us a choice, our household choice was to learn virtually. I think where we are right now as we watch the graduations, MNPS did a good job to say, we're not going to rob this moment from you guys. So we're going to give you a graduation that's going to be in the car line. As we all have kids and we know what kids do, they rolled through, they got their diplomas, and then they parked across the street and they were slapping high fives and they were hugging. And so in my personal opinion, and I think we can agree with most parents of Propel across the board, we don't think it's feasible until at least the new school semester in January. That's me personally.
Wow, okay.
But some parents say they're ready, but in our household, we want to wait until January.
So then you're of the thinking this is going to last a while. You're certainly not of the thinking this is the wrong thing to be doing. Where you're coming from is we want it to be as equitable as possible. Is that right?
Yeah, and I wasn't a believer. And Sonya say we used to talk on our team calls before we made the parent calls. Like, when do you think we're going in? Me, my first response was, we'll be back in 3 weeks. That was in March. Here we are in August, and Sonya was saying October, all the way back in March. And so I think it's the right thing to do around safety. the equity, we got a ways to go, and I know Sonya can talk about why it hasn't been an equitable.
Yeah, I mean, and to your point, John, like, first of all, we want to make sure that everyone's safe, but the equity issue was really amplified back in March. And so we've got to close the digital divide. And like I said, I talked to families who had laptops, but the schools failed to distribute a charger. So really, did the first day of school happen for these children? No. And those children were distraught. They thought they were going to see their friends. They were excited. They got up this morning. And so the inequities had really been amplified since COVID-19 came on. We already knew it. I mean, we've been saying it for years. We live in these communities. We live in a community where there's failing elementary, middle, and high school. And, you know, but now the world sees it. Everybody sees it now. They see what we've been doing.
And what do we do? You were concerned about inequity, obviously, before COVID-19. Now we have COVID-19. Does it give us an opportunity to improve here, or does it just make things worse?
I think that we have an opportunity. I think we have an opportunity because one of the things that we're demanding is an individualized learning plan. And now is the time to do that, where we can recover children, we can set goals, we can include the parents. It's more important now than ever to include parents in our children's education success. We have the opportunity now to save a generation of children, but it's going to take inclusion of parents.
And what about the, do you believe the district can pull this off as far as getting computers in the hands of all of the students who need a computer, who don't have access to a computer? That's obviously difficult. How concerned are you about the district's ability to do that?
Yeah, I would say on my part, so one, let me say we're a team, right? The district is the coach. They come up with the plan and they want to implement the plan. And it takes community partners to do it. And so we're always, you know, shout out to Frida and Christian. They were some of the first school board members who signed on to the manifesto because they just believed in it. They had really good questions that we took back to the parents, and that's what we're working on. But they signed up, that's partnership. In our opinion, right, let's say this show started at 7 and we were supposed to be on, but we couldn't because we didn't have a laptop. Or I had my laptop in front of me, but it wouldn't cut on because I didn't have a charger. And so here we are waiting, like Ben is like, where's John at? And I'm like, I don't have the technology, I don't have the tools to do it. And that's how we feel about our students. Like, our students need all the tools. And we sent a person to the moon. President Kennedy said we're going to put a person on the moon, and with belief, dedication, and hard work, we put a person on the moon, a lot of them at this point. And so we just believe at Propel that every student can get a laptop.
And Metro they're using CARES money, and they're trying to do that. They've spent money to buy every student a laptop. So that's a positive development, right? It's going to take some time to actually put those laptops in the hands of all the students, but that's a great development. Would you agree, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I have to push back on you because today was the first day of school. So although they purchased them, the fact of the matter is there were children who did not have the tools. And today is the first day of school. October is not the first day of school. Today is the first day of school. And children did not have what they needed. And so I think that we have to call upon our elected officials to get it done for our children, whether it's helping the district to get what they need. But I mean, we cannot ignore the fact that August the 4th is the first day of school and children do not have, internet access, and they don't have a laptop to start school. So I don't think we can ignore that. Although the district tried, my question is, who can look into a 6-year-old's eyes and tell them I tried and I did my best?
Right. And so do you, go back to my other question, do you feel like they will get it done in the next couple of weeks, or is it going to take more community push to get it done?
It's going to take community push, and we're going to keep pushing. And someone has to step up to the plate and make sure that children have what they need. The district had a plan, but what I'm seeing is at the school level, something failed. And so, we're asking Dr. Battle to assess the situation and see where things fail. Children got laptops and no chargers, and then there are children who did not get laptops and hotspots at all. And so I know it's the first day of school and, things happen, but like I said, who can look into a 6-year-old or 8-year-old's eyes and say, I tried, I'll get back to you tomorrow, we're working on it. That's not acceptable for children. We want to make sure that our children have the very best, and children, when they don't have the things that other children have, there goes the equity, there goes the behavior problems, the social, emotional problems. It starts a trickle down effect. And so the district has a responsibility to make sure that when we started virtual learning, that children had everything they needed, and also that their parents were trained and supported. And we saw that not happening either.
And how close are we to have that happening? There's going to obviously be some learning, but do you think we're a long way from having that happen, or not?
We're too far away, Ben. School was today. We're too far away.
Mm-hmm.
And from what we heard, they're going to trickle in. I think, one order is going to be like a 19,000 order where they bring in 19,000 laptops, but then trying to figure out who gets it first. And the district is in a difficult position, but just think about, as we talk about equity, how that feels. I was talking to one parent. She has 7 kids. I think she was in the Maplewood cluster. And this was when we had a decision on in-person or virtual. So I'm making my calls and I say, do you know about your choices? Which one are you going to choose? And she didn't know. And, that's an opportunity to see, if they didn't even know the decision, how are their kids getting an education? And then when that happens, they start to fall further behind. Like, the train has started, right? And some people are on the train, but a lot of people are off the train and they're running, trying to get on. How long are they going to have to run to catch up to the MNPS train? That's Propel's concern, and that's why Sonya talks about the manifesto.
Right. And okay, what do we do? I think that's is critically important. The train has started. There are people that don't have access. They're running to try and catch up to the train. They need to get on the train. What do we all need to do as a community to make sure that happens to the best we can? What do we need to do?
One of the things that I saw was I saw parents coming together, giving each other advice on Facebook, and it really warmed my heart. I actually had a few parents who, don't live on my side of town, reach out and say, what can I do to help? And so I think that the community is willing to help, but I think that there has to be some community partners who have the funds too, like to help to purchase some of these things. I do question the planning. Who has laptops and no chargers? So I think that Dr. Battle has to look at where the planning failed, and plans fail, but we have to look and do a root cause analysis as to why we had laptops and no chargers.
And let me add this. So the district has, what we hear, they have 86,000 kids, right? And so a lot of times you hear, you need to give us time because we have 86,000 kids. It's not just a single school. And so I listen to that feedback and we talk about it. Like the teammates at Propel, we talk about this. And some of the things that we've thought about, let's not look at it as 86,000, right? Let's look at it school by school, because each school, whether it's in the west side of Nashville or the south side or the east side, it's centralized, right? It has a principal and it has a teaching staff and it has community partners that are vetted through the district. And so why can't we take a place like Warner? Dr. Gibbs is doing an awesome job over there in East Nashville. Why can't we say, Dr. Gibbs, let's reach out, let's get the teachers, let's make sure every parent has been called. Let's make sure if they don't have the laptops, we're coming up with a plan with our community partners, whether it's the Pencil Foundation or MPEF. I think we got to take it school by school approach so it doesn't seem daunting. It's like, oh, we can do that. Like Warner, we got that. And we should do that for every school because we have the infrastructure to do it.
Yeah, but one of the things is there were some good schools that did a good job.
Yep.
I had to shout out Dr. Kessler out at Hunter's Lane. Her leadership, she really modeled what virtual school was going to look like. Me as a parent felt really comfortable. If I call and ask questions. As a matter of fact, I had school staff to reach out to me today. And so, there are some schools that really modeled this virtual school thing very well. Liberty Collegiate Academy, they did a good job. And so it's like there are schools who are leading in this, and we need to look at their best practices and help the schools that are struggling to catch on to it.
And how concerned were you by what you saw over the spring? Did the spring put us even farther behind, or what do you think about what happened at the end of last school year?
School stopped March 16th. And so there were no expectations. I know that, the district really tried hard to do some things. And parents gave grace, right? We gave grace because no one has been through this before. We've never seen anything like this, but school stopped. And so because of a lot of our children were already behind, we've got the spring learning loss and we got the summer learning loss. And research says that this could be catastrophic. And, that's one of the reasons why we as parents, hundreds of parents, we got a manifesto that's signed by over 800 parents, believe that we need to assess students, not just social emotional, I commend Dr. Battle on doing that, but we have to assess their academics, put in an individualized learning plan. You got some children that are traumatized, some that are not. Some children that need math recovered, some don't. Some that need reading recovered. And so we need to make sure that we individualize our plans for our children and make sure that we put them on a track of recovery and progress.
Okay. I'm going to open up the phone lines now. We have a call here on the line. It's Michelle. I'm going to take that call, and then we'll take some others here after the break. But Michelle, what's on your mind?
I've got a question. My daughter wasn't able to log on today. Will she be counted against, or could she just try to do it again in the morning?
I think Metro has said that you're not going to be penalized if you weren't able to log on. But I'll let each of you address that. John, what have you heard about that?
Yeah, from what I heard, I will say from what I heard from some parents, I heard 11:59 p.m. I talked to a family today, Jackie C, and, she had to work this morning. She was like, I couldn't log my kids on, and her school told her that as long as they logged in and completed everything by 11:59, they wouldn't be penalized. But I'm pretty sure they changed it after all the connectivity issues. But I've heard that from several parents, like, oh, we're not going to be logged in the morning. We're going to do it in the evening after I get off work. But that is a good question. I'm pretty sure someone at the district is listening, and that'll be good for clarity because that's a real concern for parents.
And that's the same thing that I've heard, that parents need to log in and check here in the comment box to mark the attendance for the day.
Right. And it's also important because that's how attendance is taken. If logging in, yeah, and so that is very important. The district does want them to just log in at least into Schoology. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, not just log in, but we want them to learn, Ben. I'm a little concerned.
Well, I agree.
Yeah, don't just count them here. They got to learn. And to John's point, we got parents that's going to work and can't even be at home with their children. Yeah. To make sure they can get on, man, and that's keeping me up at night, Ben. It's keeping me up, man.
I agree. It seems overwhelming. What do we do? What do we do? These parents that have to work, people that have multiple kids at home and no computer, and how do we make this work? What do we do?
Man, look, we got all that cares about ec money. And that money needs to go in the right place. That money needs to go towards taking care of these children. A lot of these parents are essential workers, okay? And they've got to go to work. And so the state is going to have to loosen up some of their requirements and do some waivers to some of their laws and their policies that they have in place. There are community partners such as churches and daycares and people who would not mind sitting with these children and making sure that their education while they're. John,
you've been around for a minute. I don't know if you remember 2008, where the district was going through this rezoning case through our local school board. And what I do remember, close to 100, it was in the 90s, 90+% of parents were contacted about this rezoning case because it was the potential they were getting sued. It was a lot of money, but the district made sure they reached out and contacted every family just to get their input. And so again, I think in those cases it's very extreme and that was needed. I think in this case, it's even more extreme. I mean, we just heard Michelle is fretting, like, am I going to get counted? Like, parents are at home sweating, not just sweating, they're crying. Like, they're crying because this is confusing. And so we just want to help. Like, we want to help.
And I think Metro would say they're trying to over communicate. I mean, they're doing the call outs. You can log online. I mean, that's what Metro, I think, would say. And so what do you say? Do you feel like they're not communicating enough? Are parents not knowing where to go to get the communication? What do you say about that?
Did anybody ask the parents what was best for the parents? No. No one asked parents the best way for them to be communicated with. We know parents that don't even know how to use email. We know parents that read on a 4th grade reading level. So shout out to the district. They're getting better, but what they're not doing is including the parent voice. They had all of this stuff on websites, and so when you look on Facebook, you got parents asking the same question. You put all of that information overload on their website for parents that can't read. Okay? I mean, how are they supposed to know? Or you put all of this information on there for people that are not tech savvy. They're not going to be able to follow it. And so they have to listen to parents like myself and John to get an understanding of what's best for parents. There probably should have been a hybrid orientation day. Not just, boom, we're on a Zoom, but what? Like, it wouldn't have hurt to start the elementary early in the week and then the upper grades later on in the week, to make sure that everybody, is able to navigate through a system. But no, we took the whole kit and caboodle and started it on today, and we shot a free throw and missed the whole basket.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. We're going to take a break. We have several calls. If you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. We will take a break. Be back right after this.